Okay, so in today's episode, so I thought it would be a good idea to do what every single streamer does, that is just review videos. And since I consider myself a person who, well, I was diagnosed with schizophrenia, so schizophrenic according with the diagnosis, and I wanted to do reviews of gang stalking, just to see how it feels, to tell you how it feels from the perspective of someone who experienced gang stalking. Now, let's have a video of Dr. Todd Grant. All right. Here we go. Let's listen to him, and I will stop in the video and doing some commentaries about it.
Question asks if I can analyze the construct of gang stalking. So sometimes with this construct,
well, constructs. So a construct is something that humans have created. Yeah, it doesn't have any relation with matter, but something that humans have created. Is schizophrenia a construct? Schizophrenia is a construct as well, because schizophrenia, you cannot see it. And if you see it, let's say, because you say these are the patterns in the neurons that somehow lights up every time there is a neural connection when that connection shouldn't be there, then we have that every single person with schizophrenia has different patterns in their brain. So it is not an illness that you can locate in the brain. So schizophrenia is a construct as well, because you just have to pick certain items of oh Jesus, have you noticed in the videos that it's becoming more difficult to talk? Well, okay, you just check the symptoms, yeah? And then it's a construct, so it's as well created by humans.
the people who believe they are subjected to it call themselves targeted individuals. Just a reminder, I'm not diagnosing anybody in this video, only speculating about what could be happening in a situation like this. If you enjoyed this video, please like it, subscribe to my channel, and consider supporting me on Patreon. I'll put the link to Patreon in the description.
He actually has a lot of subscribers. That's 1.5 million. That's a little bit more than myself.
For this video. So before I talk about the construct of gang stalking, I think it's important to distinguish this construct from what's referred to as individual stalking. I guess one could use the terms regular or traditional stalking as well, although that seems a little unusual to put it that way. So the idea is that when we think of the word stalking, we think of one person who is going after another, right? So I'm going to use the person A, person B situation. So person A is the stalker and person B is the victim. So the way we think of it is that person A is connected to person B in some way, or they used to be connected with person B. Person A engages in a pattern behavior where they watch person B, they follow person B, they attempt to contact them in multiple ways like calling, texting, emailing, sending letters, and sometimes person A even threatens person B. This construct of individual stalking is sometimes referred to as unwanted pursuit behavior, although...
Yeah, that's right. What he says that a stalker, a person that just follow you, is actually a person that could get in trouble. Technically can be considered as a criminal. You can go to the police if you are being stalked by someone, and then you could simply, yeah, get free from that person going to the police.
Stalking doesn't have to be associated with some type of romantic relationship. It almost always is, but again, it doesn't have to be. So individual stalking is fairly common. At some point in their lives, 8% of women and 2% of men will be victims of this type of behavior. Gang stalking or group stalking is quite a bit different. It involves the use of multiple individuals to stalk, harass, or threaten a victim. The group must have at least 3 people in it and must be organized with a clear purpose. So we're not talking about stalking by proxy. So we're not talking about a situation where person A would hire a number of other people to threaten or spy on person B. Also, online bullying does not count as part of this definition. The phenomenon of gang stalking or group stalking is also reported much less than individual stalking. About 0.66% of adult women and 0.17% of adult men will have the subjective experience of being gang stalked.
Okay, here it comes. He says a subjective experience. And he's right. So this is only a perception from the person that is being stalked. Then he talks about being stalked by more than one person. I suppose he's actually talking about persons and not people that simply, he might be talking about actually persons following someone, and then that someone seeing the persons. In this case, you can go to the police as well. Yeah, there is a group of people doing that. You just see them, try to know who they are, and then you go to the police.
At some point in their lives. Now, in approaching this subject from a neutral stance, like scientists would if they were conducting a study, the assumption would be that gang stalking could be real. Like there could be a lot of people out there who are actually experiencing this, or it could be, in many cases, part of a delusion. This behavior.
Okay, then we are talking about what is happening to me. But remember, I'm just a schizophrenic.
It's distressing to people if it's real and if it's a delusion. So either way, it's important to get a better understanding of this construct. In 2015, an exploratory study on gang stalking was published. In the study, the researchers compared gang stalking to individual stalking and noted a number of characteristics of the victims of gang stalking that distinguished them from victims of individual stalking. In the study, gang stalking victims tended to be mostly female.
Okay, now I'm just gonna have a look if there is anything about this study here. Might be this one. Well, there are 2 studies, and I will have a look to those studies later.
Female. The stalking behavior lasted longer than what we tend to see with individual stalking. Almost all of the participants had no idea who the stalker was. Very few thought it was a former partner. That's quite different from individual stalking, where people would almost always know who the perpetrator was. We see that there was little or no unwanted communication in the form of letters, emails, and texts. They were more likely to report being spied on, secretly photographed, and having lies spread about them. They were more likely to be scared, depressed, have post-traumatic stress disorder symptoms, increased aggressiveness, and increased distrust. They were less likely to believe stalking had changed their personality. We see they are also more likely to report disruptions in their lives across many areas. Just a few examples: they tend to be more fearful about going out, their work performance was affected, they give up on social activities more, lose friends, they're more likely to carry a weapon, and probably most importantly, they tend to be more delusional. When putting all these clues together, it seems pretty clear that most victims of gang stalking are experiencing delusions. And this theory about delusions really explains a lot. It explains why they can't.
Okay, here he talk about the victims having several, let's say, factors, conditions. I do believe this is focused on US, because here in Australia there are no there are no guns. Last year, around 2023, was an stabbing happening in a mall in Sydney, and that person was deemed as schizophrenic. I saw that on the media, and well, it is true that you believe that you are followed, spied, because that maybe someone has spread lies. And why is that? First, you never see them. This is the first thing. You just heard them. Yeah? You just heard the people. And that's why it feels that someone is beaming with a kind of technology. Of course, it's, because I don't believe in magic, some people will say that it's magic, but remember, I'm talking from my perception. So, this is something that feels that coming from outside, inside yourself. And it combines with many symptoms. Let's say the belief that you think that you are being spied also feels that because you hear people, maybe they'll be around and they follow you, therefore you will be a spy. Or maybe the voices tell you something about your phone, a camera, a microphone. And then you start to look for a camera, a microphone, or see if your phone, I don't know, has been tapped. And it feels that people spread lies because maybe you will hear really strange things. Like one of the first things that I used to hear in Spanish just before my first hospitalization. Well, I used to hear a lot of things in English, but I used to not care because I thought maybe, I don't know, it's the people that is curious, just saying things about me. But then I started hearing in Spanish that I was a guerrillero, a guerrilla fighter. And I was thinking, shit, how that can happen? Maybe people think that I'm a guerrilla fighter. Colombia used to have a war, and guerrilla, I mean, just as someone served in the army, you would see guerrilla fighters on the street, or ex-guerrilla fighters, or whatever. And you actually don't know who's a guerrilla, who's not a guerrilla. But I never met a guerrilla fighter in Colombia. Actually, I met ex-guerrilla fighters. But it was never in Colombia. Never. Then, when I started to hear this, I thought maybe, I'm in a foreign country, I'm from Colombia, maybe someone is spreading lies, or maybe someone think that I am, or I was a guerrilla fighter or something, or maybe there is someone that wants to link me with it. And that's how it feels, because you hear it, yeah? But hearing things is one of the symptoms of schizophrenia, which schizophrenia is a construct. And eventually you start to experience stress, as he said. Some people become aggressive. It feels that they push you to be aggressive. It feels that the voices push you to be aggressive. I mean, it feels that they, the tricks that, it feels as if the voices try to trigger you. Yeah? So some people might experience stress. It's not my case. It says that people gave up social activity. It's not my case, for fortune, just because being someone with schizophrenia allows me to have the NDIS, in which people with chronic conditions can access support workers. And then, for that reason, I go outside, visit a museum, yeah, go to buy the groceries, go to the pick up the medication. It's almost a routine. I can do anything with the support workers. Yeah, there is a concert and an event going. I can go with them, and that's cool. So again, we are talking about something in the United States, but I understand that people will eventually give up social activity if they don't have the ways in which you will connect. Because also it is very annoying that maybe you are talking to someone and then you don't look at them and you hear the voice of that person saying another thing that the person is not saying. And it definitely mess up your kind of relationship with that person. And yeah, then uh, it's difficult to connect because then you feel judged. You feel that you are being judged and you feel that everyone is just judging you. And it also feels that the voices judge the other people. So as soon as you see someone new, let's say there is a judgment of that person, and it feels as when it's a foreigner's just judging. It's not something that I would. If I think why I'm thinking this, let's say if I think like, oh, that person stinks, and I think why that person will stink if I have not smelled that person, yeah, but don't smell people. That's weird. But it's just to give you an example. Now, I'm kind of find another weirdest example, but it feels strange that every time you met someone, then you create a preconception of it, and the voices does that. Yeah. Okay, let's keep going.
Identify who's doing the stalking, why they're not getting written or digital communication, and why they experienced the stalking for such a long duration. Even though individual stalkers can stay around for a while, eventually they usually give up. But with the gang stalking, we see that it goes on for many years. There are many different ways to divide the subjective experience of gang.
Yeah, well, when I saw the first time gang stalking, it was because randomly a friend saw it in a video and he told me, have you seen this? And I was like, no, okay, just people having gang stalking and so on. And I was already diagnosed with schizophrenia. And then I thought, okay, this is technically the condition of schizophrenia. This is what the DSM-5 says that is schizophrenia. Then they are all schizophrenics, and look, they have to take medication. They have to take antipsychotics. So there was nothing unusual there. But if you think, this is my experience. Before I entered to the hospital, I didn't know the definition of being gang stalked, but well, that was technically what I was experiencing when I say that on the street I would hear that, oh, guerrilla, or yeah, you're strange, or whatever. And then that's technically how it feels. And it feels 24 hours. And I couldn't sleep during that time. And it's not just a judgment, but it feels like an interrogation. So that's why also maybe people believe that they are spying on them. And eventually you don't see the people. So when they ask you in the hospital who is doing this, you cannot say who is it. If you go to the police, you cannot say who is it. And it's very strange that many people experience the same thing. I'm in Australia, but mainly this is US. And well, the thing that is hard is not being able to connect with people. Yeah? It's hard to be alone. It's hard to not have friends. It's hard to not have friends that will take you, I don't know, to do something, for dinner, for a beer, etc. And so the only way in which I socialize is mainly through the NDIs, and this has been happening for, I think, I met someone a while ago in another context, and last time I saw him was like over a month ago. And in between, I saw someone who I used to recover with, and everyone else has been someone who has been helping me as a support worker. But rather than that, there is not, let's say, a social network like in which I will just call someone, talk about something that's happened to me, or yeah, arrive home. And, no, yeah, so it's just like kind of isolation. Well, let's keep going.
Gang stalking into categories. There are certain categories or beliefs that occur more frequently than others. Here's a list of some of the more popular categories of beliefs from a qualitative study. After each category, I'll provide some of the exemplar quotes for that category from the study. I will paraphrase some of the quotes. So looking at the categories, we see that being followed occurs about 90% of the time. So 90% of the people who have these subjective.
You know what? I could review just papers. Well, I will stop there. Why? I think it's very important to keep these people on the videos, you know? I think it's very important to ask them what they are experiencing. There are not many documentals, so it is important not just to see the videos that are produced by Vice, but see something else. Let's say, okay, we have a video from Vice. I don't know what is this. No, this is something that appears for us, the gang stalkers. Yeah, the feeding microwave weapons. Yeah, this is my algorithm. Yeah, also, I mean, I look for target people, and then this has 3 million views. This is not at the top of the search, but still, this is considerably a lot of views. 1.5 million views, half million views. Well, I don't know if this is the same algorithm that you will have. But, okay, the feeding microwave weapons has 1.5 million views. That's mind-blowing. Okay. Still, I was watching the video and they weren't talking about microwaves. They were talking about sound waves. Microwaves are not, I mean, not the same as sound waves. The sound is just a spectrum. There are sounds that you can hear, especially the micro one. Okay, so just the title that is not in the right context. But yeah, okay. Into the shadows, target individuals. Okay, this must be interesting. But okay, that will be a whole video. You know, the first thing that I think is like this is the first time I start to review, so I don't even know if I could use someone else's videos. I have to check that later. But okay, let's have a look to this.
Right now, but there's a little spot for cash on the back. It's also got RFID blocking technology to keep your personal information that you hate using in this postbox. Carbon fiber questions. Check out. I believe that they're being abused as part of a mass harassment campaign known as gang stalking. In general, victims of
it feels like a campaign. Feels like feels that someone wants you to isolate you. You know. It's like in the old days, they will put someone basement and tie that person. I don't know what is the word in English. It's like in the Jesus. You know, it feels that every time I have the word, my mind is just erased. But yeah, thank you. Dungeons. Yeah, it feels like in the dungeons.
Of gang stalking believe that someone is purposefully targeting them for some reason. That may sound vague, but the truth is, even they themselves don't always claim to know who is targeting them or why. Some believe that it's all a part of a vast government.
Well, what I believe is that they are doing experiments with us, partly. Maybe they have a reason, but I don't find the reason why I will be targeted. Yeah? Is this gang stalking target people with Havana syndrome, so to say. So, but why they would do that? I mean, if nowadays you can have AIs that will train AIs, and the voices feel also like AI made it. So then, technically, if one of the experiments is to train an AI, then why to do it? There is no reason, yeah? I mean, for someone to train an AI, if they could do it with another AI specifically as they want to. So this might sound crazy, but you know, it's 2025 and let's say 1% of the population, I mean, like, let's say, at least in Australia, 99% of the population have heard the term AI. I have not met anyone in Australia that knows how AI works. I mean, there is no one who knows about transformers, combinators. There is no one who knows about the formulas and the weights and how this can be combined to create, let's say, yeah, anything, images, prompts, and we're in 2025. We only have access to anything related with images that includes video, sound, just images, and there are just recently some AIs related with code, and last week, yeah, China released an AI that will help you to manage kind of your computer. I don't know exactly, it might be your browser or something like that. And also, yeah, we have the text, the prompt text AI, but we are not having the AI that comes in the future. So in the future, it'll be, yeah, I mean, this will be obvious, okay?
Surveillance experiments, while others think that they're being watched by aliens or demonic creatures. People who genuinely believe they are the victims of gang stalking call themselves targeted individuals, and these people lead horribly paranoid lives. Most alone.
That's not my case. I have had 3 hospitalizations. And after that, I stayed 3-4 years in which the voices weren't on top of myself. And suddenly one night, they just came back. And I was frightened. But instead to go into the hospital, instead to go into the police, just before I left my home and I walked a couple of blocks. But I thought, okay, what I gonna achieve going to the hospital? I might be again on paliperidone. And paliperidone is a medication in which you lose consciousness. You cannot know who you are. Maybe with some E4, yeah, you know your name and so on. But you see your hand, and immediately you forgot that you are alive, and then you are surprised to see your hand there. Yeah, and that's the life of someone who is in paliperidone. It's very difficult. So you are a vegetable walking. And yeah, that's a common drug in the psychiatry usage. And this drug um, gives you change a lot of hormones. First, your digestive system goes extremely low. Yeah, so it's really difficult to poop. It becomes difficult. You cannot do exercise. Everything is super difficult. You start to move. You start to tremble as if you have some kind of Parkinson, and you cannot concentrate. You cannot read. You cannot watch a movie and know what's going on. Yeah, as I say, you wash your hand and then you say like, what the fuck? Why my hand is there and why I am alive? Yeah, something like that feels like that. Strange because you don't have the stream of memories which makes consciousness. Oh, that's one of the conditions for consciousness. Yeah, wake up and remember who you are, etc. And yeah, with paliperidone, you also start to have some kind of hormone the balances in which prolactin, which is a hormone that is produced by women that are pregnant, is developed even in men. So if I work too long in it, I will eventually start to have so much prolactin that I will start to milk. I mean, my chest will literally milk because that's what the hormone does. Yeah, and the hormone also causes you osteoporosis and a lot of stuff. Well, there are psychiatrists who say that medication shouldn't be used in humans. Okay, let's keep going.
Owners who feel that anyone who tries to get close to them is in on the conspiracy, and this causes them to retreat online to forums and message boards where other like-minded individuals.
I have a lot of conspiracies with it, but yeah, I won't talk about. I'll try to not talk about conspiracies. Yeah, because I think it's not ideal. I think that I can just speak of what I see in my experience, and I could come with many conspiracies or beliefs, not exactly what I'm sure of, and that will be a problem, because let's say one of the problems is that people get confused. They don't know what's real, what is not. They think that this is a conspiracy. Now, what is happening is that if you see, let's say, accounts talking about targeted individuals, then that account also talks about aliens or talks about, I don't know, the frequencies that cause that. And, I did a little bit of studies in electrical engineering, and it's not a frequency that suddenly activates in your brain. There are frequencies, low frequencies in your brain, but it's not a frequency. I mean, probably the same frequency that your brain drops is almost the same frequency as the magnetic field of the Earth. It's just as weak as that. So if you believe that a frequency causes that, then that's misinformation. Yeah. Whilst people who are target individuals and experience gun stalking, that's real. Here I am, but I'm not paranoid. Yeah, just hear it and happen every day and has been happening for 8 years. And I have explained that in another videos, etc. But these are mainly patterns, yeah, that I see in my situation. I understood what is critical thinking when I was 15, 16 years, maybe 14. I remember we have, off classes session with one of, the last year guys that will be very smart and so on, and he gave us a kind of class talking about what is critical thinking. So I was even probably 13, I cannot remember, but I have memories about knowing what is to think critically. Yeah? They teach you as well a little bit of it in philosophy at school, and they teach you maybe in another kind of setting in which you have to apply it for a certain field. But critical thinking became a thing when I was in the National University in Colombia, because you will be always questioned for everything, and then you will be going to debates, and you start to see in debates. One of my classes here was about that, debating. Well, cool. So let's keep going.
Share in their delusions. These groups are arguably some of the most distrustful, disorganized, fractured, and potentially dangerous communities active right now. And today we're going to be taking a look at targeted individuals, their beliefs, their supposed evidence for those beliefs, and why their groups are gaining new members every single day. The exact origin of the term targeted individual is unknown, but the concept has been around since at least the 1990s, as people have flocked to the
I do believe the concept targeted individual, I don't know exactly when it came from, but surely it became popular after the Vice video. Yeah, Vice was a multimedia, it was a media outlet, and it was huge, it was popular. Nowadays it's not as popular as when the video was released, but this was one of the videos that they released.
Internet to share their theories. These theories often co-opt elements from other mainstream conspiracies, such as subdermal tracking chips and mind-reading spy satellites. This makes it very easy for someone who is already
well, actually, by the way, that technology exists. You just have to Google it. And the companies and so on.
Conspiratorially.
And the Earth is surrounded by satellites since a few months ago. But I mean, it doesn't explain anything, yeah? It's not the satellites. I mean, the frequencies can be done. If you think, technically, okay, let's say you have a microchip in your brain. You can see in DARPA websites that there are you can see that there are kind of technologies that are not invasive. It matches with micro technology because it doesn't need to be, something that in which they have to operate like Intralink. It doesn't have to be something in which they will open your brain and then be very mindful with your veins and a surgeon would do something, etc. It's more about non-invasive methods. Yeah, you can see them in the DARPA website. And it doesn't have to be through satellites, because any single device that transmits electromagnetic fields could potentially be one of the items to be used for it. So it can be anything. Yeah? It can be your mobile phone, can be your TV, can be your Xbox, can be your computer. It can be anything. It can be, I don't know, anything. Just think about anything that has any kind of electromagnetism in it. It has an electronic device.
Minded to fall into the targeted individual mindset. After all, if you already believe that the government is monitoring everything you say and do, it's not a stretch to think that they may have taken a closer look at you specifically. Targeted individuals, also frequently referred to as TIs, disagree on why certain people are targeted and others aren't.
The best, it was very interesting, like at the time I start to experience that. I also start to experience some paranoid thoughts, and I will hear stuff, and and etc. I say to my flatmate, I think that I'm being spied on. And he was like, man, why someone will spy you? You are not that special. You are not that important. And then I was like, oh, yeah, that's right. And okay, I just continue living my life for a while, and then it came back. It just came back. Something interesting is that, let's say, yeah, I read a little bit of Pierre Bourdieu, a little bit of mm, a little bit of rhetoric, a little bit of um, cybernetics, uh, and since I was 18, I started to learning about structures, social structures, and sometimes you can see how the information flows. And let's say one simple way in which this can happen is that the situation in which you might be, so you are with your friends and you talk about your friends, you are with friends and then you talk with your friends about that other friend who is not having a good time. And they already all know that they are not having that your friend is not having a good time, but you knew because that person told you. Then what usually happens next is that your friends, the ones who you told about that other friend, go and see and check up on him or her, and yeah, if that person knows what happened, it might be related because he or she told you first, yeah, and then that information creates a circle in which it's a way to help your friend, yeah, because making others aware when someone is having a bad time. So that's a simple loop, yeah. It's the next step of having a message, an emitter, a receptor, and then that happens in societies, that happens in companies, that happens everywhere. So the flow of information is something that is everywhere. And I can't remember what I was talking about that. Well, I went too deep in it. But, okay, yeah, this is the thing. Sometimes I felt, and still feeling, that I will say things, even think certain things. Mostly at the moment it's about thinking, but sometimes I will say things and think them, and I know that these are my thoughts because I combine several fields, and I know that doing that it feels that there is a reaction in reality. It feels that it comes back. It comes back, and it comes back with more force. That's not something that happens in information usually because, let's say, depending as well of the message, some messages will have weight, others no. Let's say instead of telling to your friends, hey, this other friend is sad, but you say, hey, this other friend has cancer and he's really sad, then it exacerbates the message. But if if somehow you create a message that is stronger, or a message that it has been spread to many people, then you will have a certain reaction. And sometimes it felt not that I say that in front of one person, it felt that I say that in front of the whole Western media, or in front of, I don't know, or to a company. Or yeah, it felt that that message went beyond of what the context in which that happened. And I started to realize that long time ago. It was probably in 2014, 2015. Yeah, and usually it will be mainly spoken things. Then nowadays, schizophrenia feels that I just think about it and then they just went back up to the top of the highest spheres of the world somehow. Well, now let's keep going.
Something that they've been chosen because they possess a higher than normal intelligence or a unique and enlightened understanding of the world, while others believe it all comes.
It's not me. I'm not Jesus Christ. Initially, my plan was I just want to have sex, read books, and smoke marijuana. And make money, yeah, for things. Yeah, that's what I wanted to do. Read books, have sex, smoke marijuana, make money. That's it.
Comes down to what you know. Former military personnel who have fallen into TI conspiracies often think that it is because they once had access to top government secrets. Most frighteningly, some believe that victims are chosen at random. That is to say that anybody could be targeted at any time and for any reason, or for...
You want to know my opinion on that? Is that I don't have an opinion. No, bad joke. Sorry.
No reason at all. While in public, TIs believe that they are being followed by agents and spend much of their time trying to identify these people. If a car has been behind them for too long, then they must be an agent. The person who smiled at them at the grocery store, also an agent. This paranoid view of the world will sometimes cause TIs to...
It feels like that. So I don't discard that possibility. But also, it's like, who are you? Like, well, that's what my friend said. You are not that important. Who do you think you are?
Confront those around them. If you've ever seen the famous video where a woman accuses a random mailman of stalking her, then you've likely seen what one of these interactions can look like. A confused person being berated by a stranger speaking nonsense at them. To TIs, they're being completely reasonable. Government employees, including mailmen, are all agents of the government, and thus they're in on the conspiracy to harass them. To avoid agents, TIs will often alter their lives in drastic ways. Many engage in erratic behavior, such as taking long and illogical routes to work, refusing to use cell phones or any other type of traceable devices, or even living nomadic lifestyles. In addition to being tracked in person while in public, TIs also believe that they are surveilled inside their own homes. Many spend hours each day searching for hidden cameras, while others think that the surveillance...
Oh, well, let's see. Survey in their own homes. This is 1 year ago. A lot of things have changed recently. Like, honestly, the companies have a lot of information. And people like Yanis Varoufakis talks about we are entering in a stage called techno-feudalism. Yeah, this is because the companies are having so much power, so much information. I mean, power as means of information, means of as influence, money, etc. That it seems that the feudal times by technological honchos or something like that. So yeah, so this was filmed 1 year ago. It's over a year. Then nowadays, yeah, there is a lot of information that the companies take if you think about it. So it's not that you are being spied, but yeah, just if you check, for example, X, just the feedback that you have from the feed, it's just crazy because it's information that they gather. And similar Facebook, etc. And this is combined with AI. So yeah, it's like a personalized kind of algorithm. Yeah, these algorithms has been personalizing every single time, and they're gonna personalize not just for you, but even for parts of you and so on. So that's the trend. Yeah.
Its tactics are more advanced than ordinary lenses and wires. For them, the government can use it.
But okay, what is a trend? Imagine before they will spread, I don't know, let's say the government has taken this law into account, and then they print whatever the government say and put it in the public plaza or the public square, and then everyone will go and read the thing and come back to their home, whatever. Afterwards, the printer was kind of decentralized. Then everyone started to print their own stuff, and then you have known newspapers or people who will just do pamphlets or people that will do whatever. So then people started taking information from their papers. That was the technology of communication. Then the technology of communication became the radio. And the radio was not for everyone, yeah, but just until the radio waves will be able to catch a radio. Then we start to have phones, the things start to become more personalized, and we start to have TV, and then we start to have groups of people that will, let's say, countries, etc., different channels, and different, let's say, companies that own channels, and then you start to have information coming from them. And today we have social media, channels, everything. And yeah, this is becoming personalized, yeah, in the sense that the feedback that you receive is personalized. It's not the same in the TV. Your algorithm is evidently different to the one to the other person, your friends, your mates, your family, whatever. Actually, one of the best things that you could do to connect with someone and to know that person is, let me have a look to your algorithm. I just want to have a look to it. And then you will see how different it is from your algorithm, and you will see the interests of the other people, etc. So it's an interesting experience that doesn't happen, but it's another way in which we could relate getting out of our algorithms and going into the algorithms of others. Yeah. So yeah, cool. Personalization. Every single time becomes more compartmentalized. Then in the future we're gonna have metaverse and AI agents that will look like people. We won't need probably to have human contact.
Advanced micro.
And that might be part of the experiment. Just as a kind of what that will be. Doom's prophecy? No, but yeah, we don't know. This is in the future, so it is a speculation, yeah. But it's very likely that we start to supply our human needs in a way in which we start to become digital, and that might be part of the experiment. Part of being in this situation is that you cannot have a relationship with anyone, because as soon as you met someone, a girl, and you explain to her that you experience this kind of stuff, or that you have schizophrenia, and that you have to take medication, and that you're gonna live between 10 to 20 years length of your life because the medication is killing you every day slowly, and it gives you low energy, etc. The sex is not as good. You have to take another medication to have sex or properly and so on. So after you explain that, who wants to be with you? It makes sense. So kinds of isolate you. So even if it's not intentional, it gives some information about specific people from which data can be gathered to understand solitude in the digital age.
Microwave technology to see through their walls from anywhere in the world. They line their walls and their windows with aluminium foil or other materials that they believe can interrupt the tracking. For most TIs, securing their entire home is too costly, so they'll select a single room, usually a bedroom, bathroom, or office, to turn into a safe room where they can sleep and rest with at least some level of comfort.
You know, I don't mind to give you all these things that I watch here, because who cares? Google has it all. Why don't you?
Comfort. Beyond tracking, they're also very concerned with directed energy weapons, DWs, which they believe can be used to physically harm them.
Okay, directed energy weapons are also called weapons of mass disruption. Yeah? Directed energy weapon. Directed means direct, one way, straight. Waves don't work in that way. I would call that a laser. Yeah. Laser weapons, and this is not a laser. Yes, lasers are different. It's a different. I mean, I think the name doesn't make justice for what you feel, that what you hear, and how it can be explained. But you can see some videos in which neuroscientists James Giordano call it weapons of mass disruption, because this is how it feels. You cannot have a relationship, you cannot have a job easily to sustain, you cannot be ambitious in an enterprise that you will follow years. I've been trying to do several things. So one of the things that I find the easiest is to do a podcast. Yeah. And it's because every time I try to write, it becomes really difficult. Every time things become difficult. You know, when I'm doing this, the voices go away. But if I were in another setting, I won't be able to do sometimes certain things. And that's how it feels. I've been complaining as well as Havana syndrome, because you start to have pain depending on what you read, what you do. And why is that? I don't know. But so far, the schizophrenia is a construct, and we are talking about a construct. Yeah. So let's see.
Energy weapons are a real thing that are being developed and tested by the US government for self-defense purposes against drone and missile attacks, but TIs believe that they can be used to induce heart attacks and strokes or cause internal and external burns. For most TIs, this threat of physical violence will never personally affect them. But when one of their own does suffer a stress-induced heart attack due to years of mental strain, it only reaffirms the beliefs of the rest. Truly believing that you're being tracked is terrifying, but hearing another person's voice inside your own head is indisputably worse.
Well, I got bored. Maybe you can watch the video in another setting. But yeah, I don't believe that the aluminum hat works, because even if you cover your whole face, waves enter to your neck. So there is no point to having one of those. But it's strange, when I put my head in the fridge, the voices go away. Okay, I leave you for the next video.